Hello and welcome to another day here on planet Earth. Tom Campbell from Isolation Station 24601 here, and welcome to the sleeping quarters, where we sleep in quarters. I'll let you picture that in your mind's eye. Here's some headlines. JR accidentally reveals Jon Moxley's first AEW Championship Defence. Eric Bischoff opens up about his short WWE run last year. And Edge shares the moments that he knew he could return to wrestling. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Oh, JR. Oh, JR. You national treasure on commentary, you. JR's had a lot of fire since he started on AEW. And don't get me wrong, the guy is the voice of wrestling, without a shadow of a doubt. But come under a little bit of scrutiny for, getting the odd name wrong and sometimes appearing somewhat disinterested in the product, that kind of jazz. He was on Wrestling Observer Radio chatting to Dave Meltzer, and he accidentally let something rather important slip out of his mouth. JR said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "I heard they taped a hell of a match. Did you hear that they taped a match with Moxley and Swagger or Hager? I heard it was pretty extraordinary. I haven't seen it, I don't know anything about the outcome or nothing like it, but I heard from a small handful of guys, literally, that were there, that it was quite the one-on-one match." And Dave Meltzer had no idea that this match had been taped until JR said it. So, let's not punish JR. Let's let him off. Seems wrong to punish Jim Ross for something like that. I mean, I kind of get it. In this day and age, pretty much everything leaks out in some way, shape or form. Like, we're trying desperately to avoid proper spoilers of WrestleMania 36, despite the fact that it is being recorded already, and we're trying desperately to avoid them. So we're a little bit prone to spoilers. I guess JR just kind of came down the line of, they've probably seen it anyway. But the match itself, Jon Moxley versus Jake Hager, intriguing. For the AEW title, intriguing. I think Hager has had some decent encounters since coming to AEW. I think that he's got something special to offer, and I think maybe him and Moxley, away from the shackles of Dean Ambrose versus Jack Swagger, could have quite a quality match. And I feel like maybe for both of them, they've both got a little something to prove, maybe. Breaking away from being Ambrose versus Swagger. Did we ever get Ambrose versus Swagger? I'm drifting. Either way, that is a match that we've got to look forward to on AEW Dynamite in a couple of weeks' time. Jon Moxley's first AEW title defense against, to quote JR, Jack Swagger or Jake Hager. Maybe they'll both turn up. I'm back! Not my words, the words of some ribs. And the words of Eric Bischoff's theme tune in WWE. Now, you and I know that last year we had the big announcement that Paul Heyman was going to be the executive director of Monday Night Raw, and Bischoff was going to be directing executively SmackDown. This felt like a really cool moment in time. Like, two of the guys who were leading the competition during the hottest time in wrestling. Once again, a hive mind to bring great wrestling, with Heyman doing Raw and Bischoff doing so. Oh, Bischoff's gone. Oh, okay. His parking hadn't even run out, and he's already gone. Yeah, a lot was said, and a lot wasn't said about Eric Bischoff's very short time with WWE working behind the scenes on SmackDown. Well, a little bit more has been said on Bischoff's podcast, 83 Weeks. In the podcast, Eric Bischoff talks quite extensively about his very brief time on SmackDown, from the start to the very sudden end. Some notes on what Eric Bischoff talked about on the podcast. Eric knew that it wasn't going to be a long-term thing with WWE. He said, "I didn't think it was going to be as short-term as it was, though, but he knew he wouldn't be doing it for long." We also discovered that it was only 24 hours from Bischoff saying, "Yeah, I'll do it," to when we got the announcement of Heyman and Bischoff being execs. Look at us go. Do. It was literally 24 hours, and then they did it. Bischoff also talked about what his role entailed. He would be basically an overseer. Vince McMahon said explicitly, "You're not to be involved in the creative process. You are just to oversee all the other elements and keep everything ticking over, but you're not a creative." Seems a bit of a waste, but there you go. Bischoff also admitted that once the role actually began, he felt, quote unquote, like he was drowning, because suddenly there was so much more emphasis on SmackDown, because you had the big deal for Fox, you had a lot of miscommunication regarding the brand split, and all of a sudden Bischoff felt like a fish out of water. What annoyed him as well, more than anything else, was the amount of just hanging around that he did on the job. As it's turned out, there were lots of meetings that had to be done at certain times, so he spent a lot of his time whilst working on SmackDown just being unproductive, as everything had to fit around everybody else's schedule. Bischoff went on to say, about 6 weeks in, I just knew it wasn't going to work. I knew I wasn't fitting in, and it wasn't a secret. Vince wanted it to work. I believe that. I absolutely do. There's no reason for him to set me up this way. The opportunity he gave me was amazing. And he says his ultimate failure in the role was just his inability to adapt to the role, which is really disappointing for someone like Eric Bischoff, who has so much to offer the wrestling world, and just felt that this particular role just wasn't going to work out for him. We also found out in this podcast that it wasn't actually Vince McMahon who sacked him. Somebody else on Vince McMahon's behalf was the one that told Eric Bischoff that he was down the road. I would have thought Vince would have done that in person. Either way, it seems like there's no bridges burned between Bischoff and Vince McMahon over this. It was just simply a role that didn't suit Bischoff. So who knows? Wrestling's weird. They may end up working together again. You just don't know. I'm quite intrigued to see how some wrestlers are passing the time during this lockdown, quarantine, self-isolation, pandemic era of planet Earth. Quite a few of them are setting up Twitch streams. I've seen at least 2 of them doing quizzes on Facebook Live. And one wrestling couple have started their own YouTube channel. Yes, Alistair Black and Selena Vega, Love's Young Dream, are now broadcasting their life story on YouTube. The episode right now that you can watch features Alistair Black going to buy some tattoo designs from a tattooist, which is very much his thing. It shows Selena Vega getting some kickboxing practice in, and it shows them feeding their 7,000 cats. I had no idea that Alistair Black and Selena Vega had so many cats. That house must be incredibly noisy at all times. No wonder Alistair Black likes to come to Monday Night Raw in an empty arena to get a bit of peace and quiet. But you can watch them on YouTube right now doing their thing. If you are looking for wrestlers with YouTube channels to subscribe to, if you haven't done so already, can you please subscribe to Kana-chan TV? This is Asuka's channel, where Asuka is playing video games, she's trying food, she's doing cooking, and she's just being incredibly entertaining. Please watch Asuka's YouTube channel, Kana-chan TV, it's right there. And subscribe to Cultaholic. I guess you have already. One of wrestling's greatest mysteries is close to being cracked. Who threw the pie at Kevin Owens? It was back on July the 4th in 2016 when Kevin Owens was putting on a 4th of July party, and in doing so, he got pied in the face by a mystery pie assailant at the very end. We never got to the bottom of who it was. Top marks to AJ from the AJ Awesome Show, who had a good crack at attempting to get the answer from Kevin Owens. He asked Kevin Owens in this interview, who threw the pie at you? And Kevin Owens kind of gave us an answer, saying, the only answer I can give people is that in the end, even if it wasn't him who physically did it, the one who ultimately threw the pie at me is Vince McMahon, because he's the one who decided that pie was going to hit me in the face. And he wasn't there physically to do it, but he's the one who made it happen. That would be the answer. It's not quite the ending that we wanted from the who threw the pie at Kevin Owens mystery. Maybe it's one for the Cultaholic Detective Agency to get on. And finalamo for a Tuesday-amo. Edge has been chatting to numerous news bodies about his return to the WWE ring. A return that we didn't ever think would ever possibly happen. But here we are, and we're heading to Edge's massive return match in an empty performance centre. It's not quite the way that we wanted it, but here we are. That's what we're dealing with here. Edge was chatting to ESPN, and he actually revealed the really peculiar event that made him realise, I can wrestle again. This will be fine. Edge says, it started dawning on me that I could do this again when Sheamus came to town. We were filming an episode of his Celtic Warrior workout show. He wants to do different challenging things that he hasn't done before. And I love to mountain bike. In the process of doing that, I'm flying down a mountain, I hit this one jump and I wiped out. It was a pretty gnarly wipeout. I was going probably 20, 25 miles an hour, landed on these stones, rolled right up to my feet, but I'm fine. I was all cut up, but my neck was fine. Couple that with doing all those fight scenes over the years on sets, some pretty physical stuff, especially with Vikings, and I thought, okay, I feel really good. So it was falling off the bike that made Edge, metaphorically, get back on the horse. Yeah. So how did WWE keep Edge's return such a closely guarded secret? Well, it turns out that they went to some great lengths in order to do that. Speaking to Sports Illustrated this time, Edge said that WWE were keen to not let anything slip about a possible Edge return. So instead of asking Edge to travel to a facility to train, they sent a WWE ring to his house where he could train. And also, they commissioned The Revival, Dawson and Wilder, to be his training partners because they live near Edge. So Edge had this ring plumbed in, out of the way of prying eyes, and The Revival came round and knocked around for a bit, and that's how Edge looked so crisp when he made his return. The next person that says F The Revival, just remember it's probably down to them that Edge is in such good form. Thank you, lads. Have a great Tuesday. Love you, bye.